So bifid means, or bi, excuse me, means two. So remember, a spinous process is a projection of bone, a process is, all right? So this is a projection of bone that's located in the posterior position, and we call it a bi because it has two little prongs to it, all right? So again, C2, or the axis, has a bifid spinous process. It has transverse foramina, these holes over here, all right? And it also has the dens, okay? So in anatomical position, this is the anterior view. The bifid spinous process would be on the posterior view, and the transverse processes run along the transverse plane, all right? So again, C1 and C2. So those two parts of the cervical are very unique. All of the other cervical look pretty much identical to one another. So we would just notate them as C3 through 7, since we have 7 cervical vertebrae. So C3 through 7 look pretty much identical to this, all right? So again, one of the things that they have that allows us to identify the fact that it is a cervical vertebrae is the fact that it has these transverse foramen, all right? Also, another unique identifying characteristic for us for the cervical is the presence of the bifid spinous process. All right, so C3 through 7 all have a normal shaped body, which is this flat portion right here that my finger's on. They all have the transverse process, and they all have a full or a partial bifid spinous process. So in anatomical position, this would be, again, the body portion would be facing the anterior view, and the bifid spinous process would be facing the posterior view. All right, so again, all cervical vertebrae 3 through 7 look very similar to this. All right, so only my atlas and my axis, which is C1 and C2, have a special look to them with some very unique features. So next we have our thoracic vertebrae, which is the second type of vertebrae that we have. So we have 7 cervical, you have 12 thoracic vertebrae. So one of the things to notice about the thoracic that can help you guys identify it is it tends to look somewhat like a giraffe, all right? So this right here would be the nose of the giraffe, these right here would be the ears, and these little pieces up here would represent the horns. All right, so this is one way in which you can identify it. All right, so we're going to go over the features of the thoracic vertebrae. So all thoracic vertebrae have these features. They have a body, which again is this thick rounded portion. This is the anterior view of the thoracic vertebrae. All right, so the posterior view, which would be this nose section of my giraffe, is called a spinous process. All right, so again, the nose section of my giraffe is the spinous process. Now, the ear portions of my thoracic vertebrae are called the transverse processes because, again, they cut across the transverse plane, which is horizontal. So these are my transverse processes, and this is my spinous process. All right, so one thing that is special, so this would be looking at the lateral view of the thoracic vertebrae. One thing that's very unique about the thoracic vertebrae is that you have 12 of them because this is where all of your ribs articulate. So we have 12 ribs, and our 12 ribs articulate with our thoracic vertebrae. So the thoracic vertebrae have something called a rib facet, and a rib facet is only seen on the thoracic. It's a small area of articulation, meaning where the two bones meet, where the ribs attach to the thoracic vertebrae. All right, so I'm going to come in so that you can hopefully see the rib facets. So these round articular surfaces you see right here on the body, as well as these divots that you see on the back side of the transverse processes, are the rib facets. So they can be a little bit difficult to see in the video, but one of the things you guys want to do when you come in to do your lab is you want to make sure that you feel over these areas, because you can feel the divots of where the vertebrae attach with the ribs. All right, so again, the thoracic vertebrae, all right, is my giraffe. Okay, so my nose is my spinous process. My ears are my transverse processes. Okay, they all have a body, and they all have rib facets. Again, these divots located on the body as well as on the transverse processes, and these are the areas of articulation for my 12 ribs. So my last set